Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Scenic English. If you enjoy learning about English while exploring different destinations, you've come to the right place. Sit back, relax, and let's begin today's adventure. After the zoo, cruising on the streets of Tucson, it was time for a new adventure. You know I love museums, and this one was pretty cool. It's the Mini Time Machine Museum of Miniatures. Now this marks the second mini museum I've visited in my lifetime, the previous one in Kansas City. And here you can see how they have this little interesting setup of the doors, the hand on the left, the bigger hand on the right, and including a miniature door off to the side. The museum is basically designed in a loop format, and so it makes it easy to explore, including a souvenir sticker they gave as well. So let's check it out. As you can already see, the pieces are quite detailed, and it's a good indicator of what to expect as we tour the museum. Additionally, there's going to also be a little bit about the concept of scale size, and I'll mix in a little bit of English expressions with that as well. Time to talk about scales, not the ones you weigh things with. In this case, we'll be looking at scale model size, meaning that there's a ratio for what you're seeing compared to the real life item. For example, a 1/32 size means 3/8 of an inch equals 1 foot in real life. In this image right here, you can see a scale model of a fire truck. In this case, it is a 1/32, as you've seen before there. Keeping this in mind, we have some expressions in English. Referring to items or activities or events, you can say it's going to be on a larger scale or a smaller scale. Example, if you're going to have a big party, but for whatever reason you reduced it down, you're saying it's going to be done, but on a smaller scale. And that's where you get the expression from. As mentioned before, this is a private collection that belonged to a couple. The couple's names were Walter and Patricia Arnell. She actually began it back in the 1930s when she was a young girl. She received her first set of miniatures. Although it started when she was a little girl, her real fervor for the miniatures didn't really take off until the late 1970s when the couple moved to Tucson. And at that time, she started to gather more miniatures, and they became active in a couple organizations dedicated strictly to the world of miniatures. This department store display was quite impressive to me. You can see the shelves all lined with merchandise just as you would see in a regular store. You also saw racks of clothing that was very realistic, and including a miniature toy house inside the miniature department store. Something that I found interesting is that Pat, of course, was the enthusiast for collecting miniatures, and a lot of people have collected things in their lifetime. However, Pat also learned to make miniatures herself. So it's interesting to see that someone not only appreciated the collection of these fine artistic pieces, but also got involved in learning the craft as well. And this piece was absolutely gorgeous. I'll have some zoom-ins on some of the rooms. And because the collection had gotten so big, it resulted in the opening of this museum, September 1st, 2009. Have a look at this amazing collection. These miniature dolls are made from a single grain of wheat. Shocking but true. They're then painted, have the sculpted hair, their legs and arms are made with wire covered with thread, and the clothing is made from Swiss silk and other plant accessories. Absolutely stunning. Here we have a walnut with miniatures inside of it, and just to give a little perspective, here's my finger for comparison. They also had some random items for display, for example, this sewing machine, along with a few extremely small models of homes. In addition to the doll houses and the smaller homes, they also had just individual rooms available. And this one I thought was really interesting because they have a simulated fireplace burning. A lot of times the miniatures are from someone's imagination of a mythical or fictional place. In this case, this bookstore was designed based on a real bookstore that exists. So the artist took many pictures, and the owners actually gave the diagrams of the bookstore as well in order to create the atmosphere and the feel of the real one. And there are approximately 1,500 books in this display. The miniatures we saw earlier made with wheat were spectacular, and so were these ones. These are Chinese bread dough miniature dolls. As you can see, once again, extremely high attention to detail. And these ones also include eyelashes, and some have fingernails as well. That previous model was dedicated to a home being decorated for Christmas. Later on in the museum, there was an entire room dedicated to a whole Christmas village with lots and lots of miniature homes decorated for Christmas. And not just on the shelving, but additionally, there was a display in the floor. Yes, in the floor as well. And for the final display, which was a temporary exhibit, we've got these retablos by Peruvian artist Claudio Jimenez Quispe. For a brief background, a retablo is a devotional, usually made of copper or tin. And normally what people do is you make it as a symbol of appreciation, especially like, for example, in Latino Catholic traditions, to Virgin Mary or to Jesus, for some sort of miracle or intervention that you attribute to them. In the case of Pablo, he learned as a child because his father also made retablos. Many of his family members also do. For his style of art, he incorporates different themes, not religious necessarily, but perhaps talking about some aspect of Peruvian life or the rainforest, etc. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that visit. There are many more things to see, but hopefully this sample of what I've shown you gives you a glimpse of the kind of detail and presentation that is shown throughout the museum. So again, as always, thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you for the next video, and I'll leave you with some final images of this lovely display.